You're tuned in to Just One Hot Mom with host Nanika Ansari. Get ready. She's about to bring you that fire, that flavor, that heat, all that passion, and more from around the world and in your neighborhood. Stay tuned.
Hey, howdies, you are tuned into Just One Hot Mom. I am your host, Nanika Ansari, and finally, summer has hit. It is a 91 degrees outside today. It is beautiful in the neighborhood, though, and I hope that you are having a beautiful and amazing day. I am so excited because in the studio with me, I have Annette Gibson from Reliable Hearts. Hey, Annette.
Hi.
How are you today?
Good. How are you?
How's this weather treating you?
Oh, it's hot.
We were just talking like in the parking lot, though. I was like, I'm thinking about cutting my hair off. She got this nice, cool cut going on, and she got some color to it. So I'm like, oh, I could do that, and I won't be as hot.
Go for it.
Have some flavor to me, but I won't be sweating on my head. But we're here today to talk about Annette's organization, Reliable Hearts. And I think we met up at a Hot Mommy meetup, and I was like, okay, well, tell me about what you do. And so we were talking about how she takes in foster kids after they age out. So I'm going to let Annette tell you guys about that. If you want to call in, though, the number is 440-252-0518. Again, 440-252-0518. Okay, Annette, so tell us about Reliable Hearts.
Okay, Reliable Hearts is a nonprofit organization, and we provide housing and youth development programs for children when they age out of foster care. And what that means is when they turn 18, they are no longer in custody of the state or the county, and they're on their own. So we try to work with them to kind of create like a family base for them so that they're not in the world alone.
Okay, so what can you explain to me, like, what actually does age out mean? Is it like right at 18, like it's your birthday and then the day after you lose your housing, or what happens?
Not essentially. When you turn 18, a lot of programs that you are eligible for, you no longer become eligible for, but they have created a couple of new programs that will allow them to stay on service until they're 24 or 25, as long as they're enrolled in in school. So
Okay.
they can be, whether they're getting their GED or whether they're getting a college degree. If they're in school, then the programs will work with them.
Okay, so can you give us a little background? Like, why decide to open Reliable Hearts? Why open your family and your heart to these individuals? What made you open this up?
That's a good question. Well, basically, my husband and I were looking for a way to give back. And so we visited a lot of different scenarios and situations that we could help with, and a lot of them we just didn't, our hearts, it didn't spark. So I met a young lady, and she was a former foster kid, and she survived, and she went through a lot, and she had been in a lot of foster homes, and we had developed a relationship, and I wanted to do something to help. So I figured that the best thing for us to do would be to start Reliable Hearts to give back, to help.
So where did the name Reliable Hearts come from?
Oh, we played around with so many different names. We were angels and so many other things, but it's just that when you think about a heart, you think of giving and love and comfort and warmth. And what more is a reliable heart? What is more than that? That we want you to feel comfort and love and, you know, all warm and fuzzy and stuff.
See, and that's what a family's supposed to give you, know. But I'm just saying, this one young lady sparked, you know, she put a fire under you guys.
She did.
And so now you guys have taken off. How many homes have you guys developed?
We only have one home.
Okay.
And it's getting ready to open in September. We have our first girl that's scheduled to move in, so she'll be moving in September. She actually is coming out of custody. She's in custody, in county custody. She'll be released in September, and then we'll work with her.
Mm-hmm. So as far as working with them, what do you guys do for them as far as besides housing? What other things do you guys offer?
Well, we're actually, with this particular young lady, we've helped her get a car. She got her license. We got her into GED courses. We do like job readiness, resume building skills, different different programs like that, like self-development and yeah.
Now, do you feel though that like they're in foster care this whole time, whether they get put in a foster home or whether they are housed at the county? Do you feel like the system isn't preparing those kids to be able to leave?
Yes, I feel that a lot of the children are not prepared, and that is because when they're in the system, even if they get into a foster family, and that family is not, it doesn't provide stability to them. It's just some place that they're being held until it's time for them to leave. So they don't educate them. There's no classes that they can go to that you can take and say, hey, we're going to teach you how to survive when you age out of foster care. There's none of that. So I think that a lot of times that the kids get lost in the system just because there's no connection there. Once they age out, then there's no one that they can reach back to. So that's what we want to do. We want to be able to, even 5, 10, 15 years down the line, we want them to still be able to come back to us. We don't want to just send them on their way.
Mm-hmm. Now, we hear a lot of times, like, we want people to be productive members of society. And I mean, you would think that the county and government places would want to produce productive members of society. Why do you think that they haven't come to terms with maybe starting these programs for these individuals, like saying, hey, here's a job readiness, here's a GED? I'm sure they have these programs, but I know most of the time you have to have information that they may not have in order to get into these programs. Why do you feel like our government hasn't taken the initiative to say, hey, let's put this in the foster care program now?
I think it's because of a lack of funding. I think that a lot of the programs need funding, and the ones that are available, the youth that need the programs, they don't have the resource to get connected to it. There's no one there to tell them, hey, you qualify for this, or you're eligible for this. For instance, the one young lady that we're working with now, she qualifies for several programs, and she's currently working with an independent living facility, but there's programs that she didn't even know she was eligible for until we started working with her. So I don't know what it is. I think it's lack of funding, and it's just.
Do you also think, though, because I'm thinking back to it, because I did a show a while back about a foster family who ended up, and I told you I ended up adopting those kids. Do you think, though, that it's just like caseworkers are overloaded, and so sometimes they don't get to tell their clients what's available to them, because we have say you have 5 caseworkers, and those 5 caseworkers could have anywhere from 30 to 50 clients.
You're right.
That's a lot. So then, do you feel like people are not going into this field because you're like, I ain't trying to touch that?
As far as being a social worker? No, I think it's so funny because a lot of classes that I go to, the students in the classes are social workers, or they're going to school to become social workers. So I think that they are overwhelmed because there's so many, and I don't know what the number is. I don't have it written down or anything, but there's so many. It's too many children and not enough social workers. So I wouldn't bash the social workers and say, hey, they're not doing their job. I do believe that they're overworked and they need help.
And see, that's where that funding comes in.
And that's where the funding.
But I think they're kind of like teachers, though. Like, we don't pay our teachers a whole lot.
Right.
We don't pay our social workers a whole lot, but we're expecting them
to do
and
everything.
holding them to a high regard to do this job. Okay, so tell us what happens to youth when they age out of foster care. Like, what would that day be like for them?
Well, it depends. Some of them, they're on their own. They just...
Because I asked you, I was like, are they like when they get out of jail, like they give you your clothes that you came with, and they give you like a bus ticket, and it's like, hey, see you later. Goodbye. Like, what happens on that day? Like, I'm like, is there like a calendar that they give? It's like,
no, they have meetings, and so they meet with their workers and everyone that's on their case or whatever. So the date that they're scheduled to be released from custody, they're aware of that. So they have time to prepare or whatever that they feel like they can do. That within the resources that they have available. So they know that the day is coming. But once the day comes, if they don't have like housing set up, which is how the one young lady that we're working with, how we got with her is because she needed housing and we had housing. So if they don't have that set up, or if they have to have a plan. If they don't have a plan, then they end up homeless, or they end up in jail, or human trafficking or prostitution.
And people do not believe me. I told people for a long time, like, human trafficking is real.
Yes.
It's real in the state of
It
Ohio.
is. It's very real.
It is real.
It's
There
very
are, like,
real.
I was reading, like, there are hubs in Toledo and in Columbus. Like, people don't think that it's in Ohio,
Yes.
but it really is. And we're, like, one of the main, like, go-throughs to Detroit.
Yes.
You guys got to stay up on your human
You do.
trafficking
And what I even learned is, like, some of those signs you see on, like, the telephone poles and say they hire, you can make $400 to $600 per week or whatever. Those are, like, traps to get people, to get young women to call and say, oh, okay, well, yeah, I want to make some money.
Because think about it, like, you out in the world and you might not have anything. You might not have any family. You don't have any money. So I was always curious, like, do we give people who are released from jail more than we give the foster kids?
Right.
That, you know what I'm saying? They haven't committed any crime. They're just trying to have a fresh start. And so for them not to get, like, anything, basically, I mean, like, what you're saying is they don't get anything. They're just told, like, hey, this is your date. We're going to help you up until this date. Now, do they only get help up until that date? And then
unless they remain in their program. Like I said, they can't stay into custody until they're 24 or 25, one of those. As long as they're enrolled in school or if they're working. There's a program called Bridges that I
think I've heard of
that help. Yeah, that helps them out if they're working or going to school. So there are, if we had a way that we could get the word out to, like, some of the programs and the resources that are available so that the youth that are aging out could get that information, then that we would be on to something, because the problem is, it's just we can't reach them all. So it's like we end up losing some of them.
So how do you reach out to people, though?
Word of mouth is, I went and spoke at my partner, a president of my nonprofit. We went to speak at Belfair, the independent living facility, and that's where we met the young lady that we work with. And just word of mouth. She has friends that are in the foster care system that, you know, she's trying to get to come through our program. They're a little on the fence about it because they've been through a lot, and you know, it's one more person to have in your life, in your business, you know. So I can understand them not wanting to do that. But we use social media, flyers, brochures. We have a website, reliablehearts.org. It has all of our information on there. And basically word of mouth, radio stations.
So really, you just need people out here like, hey, you got somebody caught up?
Yeah.
Contact Reliable Hearts. Now, what's the criteria to be a part of your program?
Well, you have to age out of foster care. You have to have been in the foster care system and aged out. You have to be between the age of 18 and 24. You can't have a violent criminal background. We do a criminal background check. So nothing really violent. And that's it. It's funny because when we first started out, we were working with just young girls that needed help. We didn't want to work with, not that we didn't want to work with, but we were not prepared to work with young women that had kids. And then I met this young lady, and she has a kid, and she has a kid on the way. And she's kind of like, we had to open our doors to her because it was like, even though she has these kids, I couldn't just, she needed our help. She was asking, like,
she was
please
asking
help.
for help. And I mean, how do you say no? Like, even I know social workers, they can feel really bad for them. Like, how do you see somebody asking for help and you know the person is in need of help but not be able to assist them? Because I'm sure there are rules in place that says, like, after they're done here, do not try and take them home. Because I would probably be like the worst social worker. Like, come home with me.
I agree. I would be too. The social workers, I don't know. I think they have they get a bad name, but I honestly,
I think we don't realize how tired they are.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that's the same thing for teachers though. You know, like the teacher can start out being this dynamic. I know a lot of teachers who started out and they were like ready, go getters, want to do all this, but then we don't realize that they don't just become teachers. They're cooks, they're daycare providers, they're tutors. They become all these other things and it gets taken away from what they initially started to do. They just wanted to come in and teach. Yes. But if I have to be all these other things and then, you know, and teach, then I might not be at the top of my game. That's like social work. I came in to get socially involved to help you go from point A to point B, but now I have to be your mother, your father, your cook,
Yes.
your transportation. So when you have to take on so many roles, people, they get worn out. But those are two jobs I feel that we don't pay close enough attention to, that people get worn out.
Yes.
And see, and that's how things get overlooked. And then you blame them like, well, you're just a part of the problem. But
Right.
how do we solve that problem for them? So, you guys, we need to shout out these social workers that are doing an amazing job. And not all of them, just because you have a bad experience with one doesn't mean
I agree.
that you're going to have a bad experience with others. So this young lady is your first young lady that's getting housing. Have you guys helped others in the past? And
we haven't worked. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut
No,
you
go
off.
ahead.
We haven't worked with. This is the first young lady to come through our program. So we're real excited about that. We've done things like in the community, but we haven't touched on doing things with the foster kids. So this will be our first young lady. So
And so what do you think your pushback is? You said like the foster kids, they're afraid of getting burned again. Can you give us like 3 things that might be pushback as to why they don't want to get involved with other programs?
yeah, because they've just been I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. They've been burned by so many people. They, as far as trusting, they have people that come into their lives saying that they're going to do this and do all these good things, and then that doesn't happen. Or they have people that come into their lives thinking that they're going to get money by dealing with them. Then there's people that, just come in, family members that just, that they just have trauma from growing up in their homes.
I'm glad you brought that up, though. Trauma. Like, how are you guys handling, or are you guys planning on handling any type of mental health issues that these individuals may come up with? Because that's a big thing now. We don't know a person's past trauma. We just know the baggage that they bring right now. We don't get to see everything. Are you guys going to be prepared to deal with a person that may have had some issues that need additional assistance outside of what you guys can do?
Yes, we have a social worker that works with us, so she'll be doing like mentoring and counseling with the young women. So we are prepared to deal with them in their trauma. We have a mentoring program that they can get connected with as well.
Okay, so how does your family feel? Like, I know you and your husband on board, but you have 3 kids. How does your family feel about this? Because, sometimes they'll be like, why do you need to go search out other kids? You already have us. How do they feel about you guys opening up your hearts to these these young ladies, young men?
My kids, they're on board. They like to help. The young lady that we are working with, we babysit our kid, and my kids loved, we're gonna pick up, and I'm like, yeah, and they just love him. They are 100% behind me. Like they want to help, and I'm trying to teach them, how to love people and just to be open and accepting of others.
Now, can you tell us, because I'm sure people are going to be like, why did she ask this question? But people think that they know how to love people. Like, we always think that we know, but as we've learned, everybody has a love language.
Yes.
Can you give us 3 tips on what it's like to have to love somebody who hasn't received love? Because I'm imagining some of these kids coming through the program have not actually had the love of a mother. Can you give us 3 tips on how we can start to love on someone who may not know how to receive love?
Oh, that's a good one.
I tried to. Sometimes they just pop up in my head like that.
That is a good one. That's a good one. And you know what? I struggle with receiving love. So I don't know if there's like one sure way to go about it. I just think that you have to be nurturing and understanding. And you have to be open. You can't be judgmental. You have to, you have to be visible. You have to be transparent to them so that they can develop trust with you.
I think that's a big thing for them too. Trust. Like, why should I trust you? Like,
Right.
Who are you to come along and tell me that you're going to do these things for me when I've had people throughout my whole entire life tell me they're going to do something for me and not do it?
Yes, and the biggest thing we get is that they can't believe that we want to help and we're not getting paid for it. Like, people don't understand that. Like, we don't get paid for this. Everything we do is coming from money that we've either raised or money that we've worked for, that we're committing to to the nonprofit. But it's it's so much bigger than you know, the money, and a lot of times people just get caught up in all of that, and then they forget the whole purpose. So,
see, I'm glad you brought up that point, because a lot of times people do.
Points,
you do, because you're about to get it. You making me think of questions I didn't think of, because a lot of times people will be like, well, why are you doing this? If you don't get money for it, then what's the point? Because we live, I feel like, in a society right now where people, like, if it doesn't give you money or give you gratification, then why even do it? So why do you do it?
I don't know. I love to help. I just want to. I feel like if you bless others, you will be blessed.
Give me 5 on that one. Y'all ain't gonna see that.
I believe there's no way around that. So I just like to give. If I can help, then I want to help. And that's just the way I was brought up.
And see, that's a lot of us that miss the boat on that one. They don't know that when you bless others, you truly do receive your blessings in return. Like, you know, sometimes you have to, I don't want to say sacrifice, I'm trying to think of a good word, but sometimes it's up for you to lay down what you thought you were supposed to do and follow the plan that has been set before you. And so I think people get conflicted, like, no, I need the money for this. But we all know that if you really need it and if you really believe, it's going to come to you regardless.
Yes.
So I don't want to preach to y'all, but y'all know it.
Yeah, and I don't want to preach either, but I'm telling you that prayer works, and we've been operating off of it for 2 years. So I can say that it works. See, we don't have funding or anything, but we've been making a lot of strides, and I'm just thankful, you know, for it.
Are you looking, though, to make this like a program that you could potentially introduce to the system so that you guys can eventually get funding?
Yes, that is our goal. That is our ultimate goal.
So right now you're in the testing phase.
Yes, we're trying to get. What I want to do is I want to be able to, when we apply for funding, I want to be able to go to them and say, hey, this is what we've been doing. This is so, you know, they can see that we have it all laid out, that we can show them that it works, and so they'll be willing to help.
So is your hope, though, that the youth that utilize your program will go out into the world and come back and give to that program? Because I know, like I told you, I work with the group Young Lives, and so our hope is always that when the girls age out of our program, that they will come back and become mentors, that they will come back and give back to the program.
Yes.
So I'm excited for you guys to get some people involved in this program.
Yeah.
And so what can a volunteer, are you accepting volunteers?
Yes, we are accepting volunteers.
So what are your expectations as far as volunteers are concerned?
Well, we need volunteers for a lot of different things. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because we're doing a back to school event on August 12th, and we need volunteers for that. Okay. We're doing it to, give back to the kids in the community. But we just, whatever we need help, like flyers, just, paperwork, just whatever. If we have events, then there'll be a list of jobs that we have or whatever, but I don't have like just random.
Okay, so y'all, she said she need paperwork filled out.
Paperwork filled out.
If events come up, y'all need to be there. So anybody looking for a volunteer opportunity, and even I would say for youth that are looking to get their service hours in, because I know a bunch of kids that need service hours. If you're looking to get your service hours, then they can volunteer with you guys.
Yes, they can.
How would they connect with you guys to volunteer?
They can go to our website, www.reliablehearts.org. and they can register on there. Okay,
so I want to go back to this question I had, because we're asking for volunteers and stuff like that. I need for you to tell them what they should understand about these kids that are in transition, because so often we go in thinking that we know, like, oh, it must be hard for them. It must, they must hate everybody. So like, what as a volunteer do I need to know in interacting with these youth that are now, basically displaced?
Well, you would need to be understanding, because a lot of them, it may come off as having attitudes, or I won't say a lot of them, some of them may come off as having attitudes, but it's just that they've been through so much. And what I found is that when new people come into their lives, it kind of unsettles things for them. So I don't know.
I think that they've come up with a routine, and so we always tell our girls, like at Young Lives, like, you have to earn the right to speak to someone, like just because you lived your life a certain way and you think that you're your life expert doesn't make you somebody else's life expert, and so you have to earn the right. And I know a lot of our volunteers, we always tell them that. They're like, what do you mean earn? You know, and I'm like, you don't get to tell me what to do with my life just because, you know, we the same age and, you know, you think you live this fabulous life. So I know for me in particular as a volunteer, I'm like, I go in like, okay, I'm not going to come in as I know it all because I don't know your story and you may not be willing to share your story with me. And so, but I try to like start off the conversation like, hey, you know, this is my story. And so if you guys are going to volunteer, I want you to be open to the possibility that you may not be seen as that, you saved my life protector. You may be seen as somebody that's just being nosy and I don't want to deal with you. And so that's just my take on being a volunteer. And so, but are you also looking for mentors? Because mentors and volunteers can be different.
Yeah, they can be different.
So what would you like to see in a mentor?
In a mentor, we'd be looking for at least you've graduated from high school, preferably you have an associate's degree, you have a background in mentoring, and you know you're open to you're ready to be open to someone that, you know, that's been hurt, has been traumatized, you just have to make yourself available.
And to piggyback on what she said, because as most of you know, I was a mentor in Young Lives, and I was like, now I've retired my mentoring hat. But I think too is that you have to have a spirit of discernment, like, because so often you hear these stories and you automatically want to collapse. I know I've heard plenty of stories where it's just like heart-wrenching and heartbreaking, and you want to take everybody and you want to love everybody, you know what I'm saying? But there comes a point in time where you have to, I hate to say it, but you have to disassociate. And so you have to know when you're being a mentor and when you have to go back to your regular life.
Yes.
And so do you think, like, will you offer mentoring classes eventually so that people can kind of learn what to do and what to expect if they decide to become a mentor?
Yes, we hope so. We hope to do that.
Okay, well, if you need it, you know I taught a mentoring class.
Yes.
That was a shameless job plug right there. But it ain't no shame. No, because I find that people often think they know what it is to be a mentor. Like, I'm winning at life, and so let me help you win at life. And to me, nobody's winning at life. No, we didn't get any instruction book. I agree. You know, nothing came. There was no guide. You know, we made it. Some of us just made it. Right. And so to go back and to help others make it, you have to know how to move how they move. And so if she needs the classes, y'all, I'm offering them for her.
Thank you.
So in doing this new adventure, because you have a nonprofit, now you got this going on, do you find it sometimes difficult to manage to juggle your family life along with trying to get this up and running and having your nonprofit going?
I do. I do find it difficult some days. I write down everything, and then sometimes I forget to look at what I wrote down. It's a lot to keep up with.
See, that's a volunteer. She needs somebody to walk around with her and keep this list.
Just keep a list of things that I need to get done. I don't know how I manage it. It just I just pray on it, and it just works itself out.
But I'm sure you have a good support system too.
I have a good support system. I'm not going to downplay my support system because it's very strong. But I'll just leave it at that. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. Hey, hotties. Thank you for tuning in. I'm here with Annette Gibson. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, I've got a few more questions about aging out of foster care. I'm nosy. Y'all know it. Talk to you in a minute. Hotties, welcome back. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to Just One Hot Mom. I am your host, Nanika Ansari, and I'm on with Annette Gibson of Reliable Heart, and we're talking about what happens to children after they age out of the foster care system. So during the break, I asked a couple questions, and I'm going to bring Robin on. As you know, Robin is our producer, mental health therapist extraordinaire, and so I just wanted her to answer the question about what are your thoughts about, as far as mental health is concerned, about a person who hasn't received love and you're trying to give them love? Like, what is our thought process in going through that? How can we break those barriers and show them love?
It's a long, it's not my company. It's
I can
a
hear
long
you.
process. It is a long process, and it's gonna have its ups and downs. you have to define love, and it's a trust game, and you can make progress and then find yourself going backwards, because they don't have trust. They believe that you're going to fail them at some point, and then they may still love you to death and betray you. You know,
I didn't think about that from the other side.
Yeah,
like you're investing in them and they're investing in you, and you guys have to be able to trust each other. I didn't even think about it from the side of the volunteer or the mentor. Like
if they and you have, because I experienced this when I used to work in the residential. You have to understand the transference issues that may happen. They'll love you, but you are in the role of a mother figure. If they got a mother wound issue, it's going to come up somewhere in your relationship with them, and you're going to have to work through that. I had a client just like go berserk bananas. You know, I've had a few go berserk bananas, and you still got to sit down after they go berserk bananas, tear up everything. Okay, now, so what's going on with you? And talk them through it, because they know that they have taken out something on you that's really not you.
And so I want to give a shout out to two groups I know are working on mommy issues with individuals. If you've had mother issues and you're just trying to resolve them and go through the process to be either a better mother or to one day become a mother, shout out to Carla Kennedy of Carla's Journey and Tierra Banks of Mended Inc. They are two dynamic women I know in the city of Cleveland that are doing great work to help people push through and work through their mommy issues. So I attended one of their events last week, and it was amazing just to see women come to terms with their issues that they were having with their mother or their families, and to come to a healing process. All right, so let's get back to you, Miss Gibson, over here, because I'm so excited for your first opening day. So when do you have a tentative opening date so that we could come bring some balloons and bring the big scissors with us?
I don't have the exact date. We're just shooting for September, but I'll be sure to get you the date so everybody can come out.
Yes, we're going to show up. We're going to show up and show out and support you, because I really feel like this is needed in the community, and it's just shocking that we don't already have something like this available to people. So you were speaking of so you, Robin, and I just had this conversation. You were speaking of the young lady that you work with right now and that you're involved in her life. Do you ever think that you have to explain what the boundaries are, though, to her? Like, hey, you know, do you have boundaries?
That's a very good question, because when our relationship first developed, I was wondering how would I set boundaries with her. And because I don't want her to, I want her to be able to trust me. So I just tell her no. And I give her a good explanation as to why. And I just stand firm on it. And we haven't had any problems.
And see, I think that's a good thing for mentors. And I had to learn that when I first started mentoring people. I had no boundaries. Like, you come on my house, you could call my house, you go around, I'm going to come pick you up. Whatever you call me, I'm going to be available to you. And it was exhausting. And so now when I tell people, I'm like, you got to tell them, like, don't call me after 8 o'clock. I don't know you. And, you know, and it seems harsh, but it's like you still have to self-care and protect yourself.
Yes.
And so how are you self-caring then? Because you got a lot going on. What is your self-care? Give us Annette's like 3 special self-care things she does.
Water. You got to drink a lot of water. Sleep. I try to get my sleep in. Believe it or not.
Like how many hours? Because I don't sleep.
You don't sleep? Oh my goodness! I can get in probably like 6 hours.
I don't even remember the last time I slept 6 hours straight.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Oh no, I can't. I'm a big napper. I'm like a fan of the 10-minute nap is my best friend. I don't know why though. I'm just up like, as soon as I think of something, I'm like, yes. I gotta go check this out right now. So I'm like, when people be like they sleep, I'm like, how long?
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Okay, so water, sleep, and what else?
Love. I have a lot of love. I get a lot of love.
See, that's important because you give out. Your cup overfloweth with love for other people. So you got to replenish that cup.
Yes.
See, she get love, y'all. I'm going to get some love and take a nap somewhere. So, what tips can you give us as far as, like, say, for instance, we're in the community now and we've heard about your program, and we know of a kid that needs to take your program or who needs to be involved. what steps can we take to kind of push them towards you? Like, how would you suggest we do that?
You can go to my website and submit a form, or you can call me directly, and I take phone calls directly.
You really do. I was
Yes.
shocked when you. So, what is your main motivating factor in making Reliable Hearts a fixture in our community?
I want to be able to see like the population, the foster youth population. I want it to be uplifted. I don't know if that's the word that I'm
I
looking
can
for.
see that because it's like it's a play on like, oh, they was a foster care.
Yeah,
like, you know.
yeah. They have this whole stigma about, you know, the whole system. But if I could just find a way like to get the word out to help the kids. I think if we need more people that want to help them. You know, if we came together, I think we'll have a much bigger impact.
So even connecting programs with your program,
Yes.
like, hey, if you do this and I do that.
Yes, we
then
love
maybe-
working with other programs. Yes.
Okay, so do you see Reliable Hearts maybe moving outside of the heart of Ohio right here, maybe branching out and eventually going to other states or becoming the process program for that?
I hope so.
I know we gotta
Yeah,
go. We
I
about to
hope
take
so.
a road trip and start snatching up mamas
Yes.
like.
Yes.
And so, do you have any of your friends though? Because I know. So this is a good question here. We often on here talk about support and like what support looks like for everybody. This is your vision and your dream, so it's not your friends. And stuff.
Right.
How do your friends interact? Because sometimes I get like pushback, like, "Oh, you work too much, you do this." Like, how are you handling your relationships with not just your family but with your friends?
Oh, that's a tough one.
All entrepreneurs
Oh, my
be
goodness.
like, "I'm friendless."
Yeah, I was getting ready to say, you know, and I didn't want to. Anyone that's listening that says, "Oh, well,
She not putting you on blast like
I
that,
don't
y'all.
wanna say that.
It's a different type of friendship. You know, I'm like people that you have been friends with for years and stuff like that.
Right.
And when you decide to do something new with your life, they're like, okay,
right,
it's a phase.
Yeah, exactly. So, I've lost friends. I've gained new friends. I've lost them. But I just try to keep my vision. And I figure whoever is meant to be there, they'll stay.
So I heard this good thing, and I heard it from my sister, but I'm going to give credit to who said it. Toshiba Oliver is really dope chick in the Cleveland, Ohio area. She's going to be embarrassed that I said her name. But she was telling us that there is a reason and a season. Like each person is in a category, and I could be involved in your life for a reason. My reason for being involved in your lives is Reliable Hearts. And so we're friends via that. But then there are seasons that you go through seasons with people, and they may stay a little bit longer. But then after that season is up, it's okay to let them go because you guys have been through that. So I was like, I don't know. My new adult friendship theme is that, like, you know, there are people that are there for reasons, and we become really cool and connected. But when that reason is up, it's okay. And then there are seasons that are going to last longer than those reasons. And when those seasons are up, it's okay. You know,
Yeah, I like that.
See,
I like that.
Right? Toshiba is so cool. This is just my plug to make her come on the show and talk about herself.
Come on, Toshiba, that was a good one.
So, but you don't think that. I think you think sometimes, like when you talk about support for your dream, you think that everybody's supposed to be on board for it because it's like, it's my dream. Can't y'all realize this is what I want to do with my life?
Yes.
And so so tell me about that reflective moment when you realize that, like, yeah, this ain't everybody's dream.
That's tough. You know, I had someone call me. I don't know if they were being funny or whatever, but they called me a missionary. They told me that
I would have been like, hey, yes,
I didn't know
Give me
really
my
how to
cross
take it.
beads.
Yeah, I didn't really know how to take it. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know. I don't know.
You're like, I don't know.
I don't know.
So let me tell you, I'll give you the scenario because I was asked this question like the other day, and they were like, what if your friend loves you and they come to you and you're in the process of working out your business plan and doing all this other stuff and you're exhausted doing that, and they come to you and they say they need to talk, but you know that you need to get your business handled, and they flip out, and that's you're thinking that they don't support you, but they're thinking that you don't support them. How do you handle that? And I was like, well, you know, in that moment, I would give her a hug and I would be like, I'm happy to support you in whatever issue you are having, but right now I need to support me. And so I find that, like, if my friends can understand that, that's how I know our true relationship is, like, we're really friends. And if they can't, I don't discount you as not being my friend. You're just not the friend that I can take in the journey with me.
Okay.
See,
I like that.
I'm dropping.
Yeah,
I'm telling her now because I feel like you have an amazing program and it's going to take off and it's going to require hard work and dedication. There are going to be ups and downs and bumps in the road, and there will be people that come and people that stay and people that go and people who don't want to get involved. And I think we set our expectations for the people we say love us so high that we don't realize that they going through life too. And so I just know that I set my own expectations, like, hey, I got to do this, you don't have to. And so that's my tidbit for you guys. Like, set your own, I always say that though every week though, like, set your own expectations, don't let somebody set them for you. All right, so can you give us a victorious moment that you've had while creating Reliable Hearts? Like, tell us of a big win. You was like, yes.
I'll have to say when we partnered with Toys for Tots, that was like our first big give back, and it was just a matter of signing up. I thought we would have to jump through hoops or whatever, but we were able to give away toys to over 600 kids when we partnered with Toys for Tots. So that was kind of like a big thing for us. I think that's like the biggest thing. We had a business mixer, which was a really good success.
You guys have a lot of events. As a matter of fact, I'm going to say, what's your nonprofit do? I'm going to have you describe that for us.
Well, the nonprofit itself is Reliable Hearts.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
But you guys just don't do the foster care stuff with Reliable Hearts. You guys have a lot of events going on.
Because we have fundraisers to raise money for Reliable Hearts. So we have Sip and Paints. We have. We've had business mixers. We've had what we called a ladies' night, where we painted wine glasses and had hors d'oeuvres and wine and.
So you already won me over. You don't got to worry about it. I will be at the next thing. Don't worry about it. You just don't. Okay, so what do you have coming up next? Do you have anything coming up next that we can attend or look forward to?
Yes, we have our back to school drive that we are doing. It's backpacks and back to school. It's August 10th, and it's going to be at the Wildwood Park Pavilion off of Lakeshore. You know what that is?
I know where that's at.
So that's where it'll be. We're giving away school supplies, backpacks. There'll be bounce houses, face painting, balloon making, food, music, fun.
See, it's always a good time. And think you're going to have all this fun while giving back. Now, are you guys expecting monetary donations or like school supplies? What can we bring to the party?
Well, if you could bring school supplies, that would be great. If you don't have time to stop and pick up any, we accept monetary donations. We will go out and purchase, and we do display what we've spent the money on. So yeah,
because people be like
what you do with my money? So we make sure we show
and going to school and harassing the kids. Like, I bought that calculator right there. I bought that calculator. So you already told us in the beginning, but can you tell us again, how can we connect with you?
Okay, you can reach me on my website. It's www.reliablehearts.org. You can call me on my cell phone. Can I give out my cell phone? Oh, my phone number is 216-882-6750. I do take calls from people that are in need.
Give them a time though. Set your boundary now. Like, don't call me.
Don't call me after 6 o'clock. And another good number would be 330-888-8330 if you need another number. 8330.
What was the first number?
330.
The first.
888.
The 216.
Oh, 882-6750.
Okay, so you guys, if you missed that, it'll be up on the Elevations Radio webpage for this live. You guys will be able to see it there.
And then the website is reliablehearts.org?
Yes.
So you got it, reliablehearts.org. And then you can also, she's not saying all of this, but most people don't, you can follow her on Instagram like I do.
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram. I forgot about that. Yeah, it's reliable_hearts.
Okay, so what is your vision? If you had to speak what was going to happen for you guys next into existence, what does that vision look like?
Oh, that vision, like hopefully in the next 5 years, we can have 5 houses. If we could get 5 houses and get them, full of girls, That would be amazing.
So are you guys only accepting girls? You don't have a male component?
We do not have a male component, but we're not shutting that down. We're just, starting with the female population first, and then. Yeah.
Do you find is there a heavier female than male population in foster care?
I thought that there was, but now I'm starting to see that there are many males in the foster care population. I guess I'm kind of biased, and that's why I picked.
Well, you know what? I was just thinking like you'll want to combine both houses and have another issue. Then you have to call me and my group in, and we have to set up that. And I'm so excited for you guys, and I'm so excited that you have a vision to see 5 houses. So if you are listening to the sound of my voice and you know how to get her them 5 houses, I'm just saying, like, let the Lord speak to your heart, and help her out. Robin, just one more question for you, because I forgot I had a mental health question. You guys know I'm all over the place on most occasions. When we are thinking of them aging out during this process, and what do you think is the thing that what are they going through in their mind that we need to know as a community? Because I don't want us to compare it to being released from jail, because their mind, this could be somewhere else. Like, that's freedom. What do we as a community need to know that these kids are going through in their mind as far as being displaced now? You're used to one thing, and now you're going to be it's going to be totally different for you.
Well, I think every child is different. I'm used to working with therapeutic level, so but every child is different. So just first get to know each child and where they are emotionally, socially, and all of that. But I think with a lot of them, they probably are feeling like they finally free. They finally independent. They grown. Now, if can't nobody tell me nothing, I'm grown. Because you got, when they're in foster care or, in the county custody, they got the county worker telling them what they got to do. They got the foster parents telling them what they got to do. They're feeling so torn a lot of times because they still trying to maintain a relationship with their biological family, if they are trying to maintain that relationship, if they have it. They got the foster family. They got all these people in their life, so they're wanting that independence. So I think the key is building relationship. They need structure. They may not understand that they need structure. So building relationships so that they can then understand why they need that structure. Sometimes they're going to, like we talked about during the break, they're going to buck up against that, but they're going to always come back for the relationship.
So cool. Thank you, Robin. And thank you, Annette, for coming in today and giving us a glimpse into what you got. I'm really hoping that there's someone that is listening. I'm sure there are volunteers out there willing, ready, and able to help you. So you guys, all the information will be here, and it'll also be available on my website so that you guys can reach out to her and so that we can start to help and heal our community in that way. Hey, hotties, as always, I'm going to tell you again that whatever God has for you is meant directly for you. And that's the same thing for these kids. Someone at the sound of my voice is meant to step in and either volunteer or mentor with Annette. It can't be one person. It takes a village to do this within our community. And we have to step up and we have to do it in our own communities. Guess what, hotties? You've been tuned in and you've been elevated. Talk to you soon.